Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Josh all alone with you guys. Wednesday, middle of the week between, this is like the Browns' little mini bye week. We had a Thursday night football game, then we get the whole weekend without Browns football all week, and then we don't play again until Monday night out in Denver. So this is like a little mini bye week after the Browns just got off a bye last week, coming into New Orleans. So long week. And it's obviously Thanksgiving. And I guess before I move any further, yes, I am wearing sunglasses during this episode. If you're watching on YouTube or any of the video platforms, and the reason is I busted a ton of blood vessels in my left eye, and it's just kind of gnarly. It just kind of looks bad. And if you watched the interview with Greg Pruitt, you noticed I was wearing sunglasses in that one. And I told Greg, hey, I'm going to put these on for this interview. I just don't want you having to stare into this completely red, total bloody eye for, the entire episode. So it's getting better, but I did not want to subject you guys to the bloody eye. And so that's why I'm wearing my sunglasses. Obviously, I'm not a cool dude. I don't wear sunglasses during the podcast. That's Justin Charles. Justin Charles can pull that off. No problem whatsoever. That is his thing, and he looks pretty damn good doing it. But I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot here today, just so you guys don't have to look at that thing. But like I said, heading into Thanksgiving, just wanted to go through a couple things going on with the Browns in the news and on social media and all that kind of stuff, and talk about some news with Jed Wills and kind of look back at some stats with him and talk about, his potential future apparently with the Browns or even just in the NFL in general. Talk about Myles Garrett and some of the milestones that he's coming up on and how effective he's actually been this season. And then just kind of hit on a couple of Deshaun Watson notes that came out earlier this week in terms of what's going on next season. So we'll dive into all those types of things. Here today, we got a Broncos preview coming out later this week. Obviously, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, guys. So enjoy. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Have a great time with your family, your friends, whatever you're doing, wherever you are. Just know that we love you guys. You're the best audience in the world. Say that all the time. Appreciate you tuning in to our podcast and getting some Browns information and content from us. It really does mean the world. So really, I guess what I'm saying is going into Thanksgiving, I'm super thankful for all of you guys and all the support that you've given us over the years as we continue to grow this podcast. So again, thank you. And let's dive into some of this content real quick here. Before I do, reminder, social media is at the Dogs Podcast. Follow us everywhere: X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever. We're there posting stuff. And, if you guys want to be a part of the Dog Pack, where we have our exclusive members. We have a private Discord server where we have all kinds of channels in there talking about a million different things all the time. It's a ton of fun, great place to be. That's jointhedogs.com. Become an official Dog Pack member. It's a great way to support the show financially. If you've got $5 extra a month, and even if you don't want to jump in and be part of the Discord or have those conversations or be an active part of the community, that's totally fine. But $5 a month goes a long way to helping support our independent podcast, because it is an independent podcast. There's nobody footing the bill for this thing. We are doing everything ourselves and drumming up the revenue on our own, and we're making it work. We're making it happen. So we appreciate everybody who is supporting the show. And again, if you're looking for a non-monetary way to support the show, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That's huge. Like that really does go a long way. Just scroll down to the bottom of the podcast app, tap 5-star, write a quick review. Great Browns content, awesome show, just whatever you guys want. Anything you want to put in there is great, and that just helps us out a ton. So just wanted to throw that out there as well. All right, so let's dive in here. I didn't think we'd be talking too much more this season about Jed Wills. I thought the book had kind of been written on him, but apparently there's still some speculation going on about Jed Wills and his future with the Browns. So let's start here. Chris Easterling from the Akron Beacon Journal reported Kevin Stefanski said this about Jedrick Wills, quote, "He is doing everything he can. It's not responding just yet, but hopeful that it does." So what Kevin's talking about in that quote, to the Akron Beacon Journal. He's talking about Jedrick Wills and his knee injury. And whatever's wrong with the knee, whatever's going on, apparently Jed's knee is not responding the way they were hoping to whatever rehab or treatment or whatever it is that they're doing to try to get him apparently back on the field. I feel like the knee is not the only thing holding Jed off the field. I think Jed is holding Jed off the field. Drop it in the comments if you disagree or what your thoughts are with the whole situation. But, you know, I know Kevin came out and defended Jed a few weeks ago and said that his business decision comments were taken out of context and, you know, it's not really what he meant and everything. Like, I listened to the video, the words from Jed himself. I'm pretty damn sure that's what he meant. Like, he decided he didn't want to play in that game. He didn't say this, but the way he said it, and guys, go back and find the video if you can, but the way he said it really made me feel like he was told, hey, you're good to go for this game, medically cleared, and decided, nah, I'm not going to play. So that's how I took from that. And obviously Kevin's going to, you know, back up his guys. It's just what he does. And I don't fault Kevin for that. That's how you create a good culture in your locker room and around your team. So players like to know that, hey, this head coach has our back if, you know, whatever the situation may be. Supposedly, though, Jedrick Wills hyperextended his knee on the first play of the Bengals game back in Week 7, but he went on to play the entire game. It wasn't until that next game, the Ravens game, that he made that decision not to play. But, you know, playing that whole game against the Bengals after he supposedly hyperextended on the first play, which if it bothered you that much, maybe you should have just come out, because he did not play great in that game. He allowed 5 pressures, and the only other person to give up more than 1 pressure in that game against the Bengals was spot starter Michael Dunn, filling in for Wyatt Teller that game. Wills also gave up 2 sacks and 2 quarterback hits. So it was a terrible game for Jed Wills. And I didn't even look to see how many penalties he had in that game, but you know he had them because he gets them every freaking game. So, you know, he's whether Wills, you know, he's staying in the game against the Bengals, whether he was truly hurt the entire time or not, like I said, did not help the Browns in any way at all. And I hate to be so skeptical about a player and an injury and all that kind of stuff, but Wills just does not have the track record that lets me give him the benefit of the doubt. He does not deserve benefit of the doubt, in my opinion. The dude did not practice all summer, and then he missed the first 2 games of the season, coming off a knee injury last year that was taken care of in December. So it's almost been a year now since he had the MCL repair. I don't know if it was a partial tear or a sprain, whatever it was, but he had surgery on it. Recovery time by any sports doc that I've looked into or read from, dude should have been back for training camp. Like, I don't think no one expected him to miss all of training camp. No one expected him to miss 2 games to start the season. Like, everyone figured, hey, this guy will be back for the start of the season, and then he wasn't. So it was all just kind of head scratching with Jed from the jump. And again, I would give him the benefit of the doubt if he had ever shown any drive or desire to play or even play well over the last 3+ seasons, but he hasn't. He hasn't. And I know a lot of people want to jump straight to it's a busted draft pick by Andrew Berry. We should have taken Tristan Wirfs, yada, yada. Like, how did we not see this? Or, you know, I think we need to remember, and I'm going to go back through some stats here. Jed Wills started off his career very promising. Jed Wills' rookie season, we walked away from the rookie season saying, I think we got a guy. I think we got one here, because 2020 easily was his best season, his rookie season. He ended with a 77.6 PFF grade. He gave up just 18 total pressures his entire rookie season. Just 4 sacks allowed, and he missed only 1 game. So I want you guys to kind of remember those general numbers as I go through this for Jed Wills. Rookie season, only missed 1 game. So might as well just say, hey, in a pretty much a full season, a full rookie season for the most part, for Jed Wills, 18 total pressures, 4 sacks, 18 and 4. Okay. Just keep that in mind. 2021, he comes back his second season. He missed 4 games in 2021. His grade fell down to a 68 from a 77. He gave up 28 total pressures. So 10 more pressures allowed his second season than in his rookie season, and 5 sacks. So 1 more sack than the year before. So, okay. Not terrible, but we did see his productivity drop from rookie season to second season. What did we see from Jed in his third season, 2022? was the only season so far for his career that he did not miss a game. So Jed Wills played the entire season in 2022. His grade was about the same, 69 PFF grade, 41 total pressures. So, and 6 sacks. So what did I tell you guys to remember from his rookie season? 18 pressures, 4 sacks. 2 years later, in his third season in the NFL, you're supposed to be getting better, right? Like the more you play, the more experience you get, you're supposed to improve and develop and be better. 41 pressures. More than double from his rookie season. So it's safe to say 2021 is when we really started to understand that this guy might not be the answer at left tackle for the Browns. He allowed double the amount of pressures from his rookie season. I'm sorry, 2022, not 21. 21, slight drop off from his rookie season. Let's see what happens in the third season. Woof. Third season was horrible, just absolutely terrible. Like I said, 41 total pressures allowed in that third season. He was bottom 10 offensive tackle in the league in 2022 in terms of pressures allowed. 41 was the 9th most by all offensive tackles in the NFL that season. So terrible season for Jed Wills. And then last year, 2023, he played in just 8 games before the knee injury, but he had already, in those 8 games, allowed 29 pressures and 3 sacks. So he gave up more pressures in half a season, 4 years into the league, than he did his entire rookie season, missing just 1 game as a rookie. He has gotten worse each year he has played, and not by a little, by a lot. Last year in 2023, had Jed played the entire 17-game season, Jedrick Wills was on pace for, ready for this number? 62 total pressures and 7 sacks allowed. This guy went from 18 total pressures allowed as a rookie. 4 years later, or 4 seasons later, 62 pressures is what he was on pace for. That's abysmal. That's terrible. That is cuttably bad. Shouldn't be on a roster, let alone an NFL field. Bad. It is so bad. And I broke all these numbers down. I wanted to go back because Mary Kay said earlier this week that what she said about Jed Wills was like, I read it and I thought, what? What is she talking about here? She said that the goal from the Browns is to get Jedrick Wills, who had his MCL repaired in December, back on the field at some point to evaluate him for next season. As it stands, he could return as a swing tackle with DeJuan Jones expected to start at left tackle and Jack Conklin at right. What? We need to evaluate Jedrick Wills for next season? I just did all the evaluation necessary. He better not be a part of this roster next season. I'm sorry. He is not a good player. He's not a good player. He has no effort. He has no drive to be good. He has all the potential and talent to be a good offensive tackle in the NFL, and yet he has substantially gotten worse each season he has played. And I want nothing to do with Jed Wills next year. You guys let me know what you think in the comments here quick. Just put it in there. Jed Wills next year, yes, bring him back on a cheap deal as a swing tackle, or no, just let him go and be done with this whole thing, because I'm on the be done with this whole thing side of things. I don't want him back. I don't want him on this roster. One, if he is back in 2025, he won't be healthy even if we needed him. So, okay, so cool. We got a depth tackle and he ain't going to be healthy. Are you kidding me? 2, he made a business decision not to play already this season. Okay, who's to say that won't happen again in the future? And 3, when he has played, he's been awful. He's been terrible. A total liability on the field. And, I wouldn't want him back as a 3rd-string tackle, 4th-string tackle. I don't want him back on the practice squad. I don't want him back. Sorry. It's time to move on. Surely the Browns can find somebody in free agency or the draft who can come in and put forth some effort. I mean, hell, even 80% effort with 50% and give a damn would be significantly better than what we've seen from Wills over the last couple seasons. So I wanted to address that because I know that was going around social media whenever she posted about the Browns talking, trying to get more evaluation out of Wills this season. I'm like, what more do you need to evaluate, people? We have seen Jed Turnstile Wills plenty enough to know that he cannot be a part of this team's future. Just can't. This episode is sponsored by Omaha Steaks. Browns fans, nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unraveled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. This year, skip the holiday hustle and bustle and save 50% off site-wide during Omaha Steaks Cyber Sale at omahasteaks.com. Plus, get a $30 reward card when you shop early and score an extra $30 off with promo code DOGS. With 5 generations of experience, Omaha Steaks consistently delivers the world's best steak experience, and their gifting experts have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages starting at $89.99. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide during the cyber sale at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code DOGS, DAWGS, and a $30 reward card when you shop early. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 off with promo code DOGS.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now, during our Black Friday sale, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery when you add a base. And Cyber Monday. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Minimum purchase may apply. So let's move on from a failed first-round pick for the Browns to a very successful first-round pick for the Browns, Myles freaking Garrett. So Kevin Stefanski this week, by the way, Myles Garrett won Defensive Player of the Week. And yeah, he had a great game against the Steelers. I mean, ain't much else to say about it. Kevin Stefanski came out and said he believes that Myles Garrett is putting together another Defensive Player of the Year contending type of season. And I wanted to go and look at the stats and numbers for Myles, and we'll get into this a little bit later too, but I just want to mention, the year's been so bad for the Browns. Like, it's been such a down season. The offense has been the main focus of just how bad things have gone for Cleveland this year that we've kind of glossed over Myles Garrett and kind of the defense in general, but Myles Garrett specifically and what he's been able to do this year on the field. Their defense is on the field damn near the entire game, at least for the first part of the season when Deshaun Watson was playing quarterback. So what Myles Garrett has done this year has gone kind of under the radar, but Kevin, coming out and saying that again, it's like, okay, Kevin's got his guys back and that's cool and everything. But then when I went and looked at the numbers and the stats and everything for Myles this year, Kevin's not just giving his guy a little, pat on the back and a little, moral boost or anything. Like, Kevin's onto something here. I think Myles really does have a legitimate bid for Defensive Player of the Year for a second year in a row. And let's walk through some of that stuff. So if you go to PFF, per their grading system, Myles Garrett has a 24.7% pass rush win rate this season. That is the 4th highest in the NFL. The only ones higher than Myles are Aiden Hutchinson, Ivan Pace, and Bobby Wagner. Those are the only ones. And those other 2 guys in there are linebackers. So if you go purely edge defenders in the NFL, Myles Garrett is number 2 in pass rush win rate behind only Aiden Hutchinson. So actively, because Hutchinson's out for the year now, Myles Garrett's number 1. Myles Garrett's the most effective active pass rusher in the NFL based on PFF's win rate. We'll talk about ESPN here in a minute. Myles Garrett has generated 52 total pressures on the season. That's tied for 4th most in the NFL. Jonathan Greenard has the most at 55. So Myles, he's just 3 pressures behind the league leader. He's tied for 3rd most sacks in the NFL with 10 sacks. He's just 1.5 behind the leader, Trey Hendrickson, at 11.5. 11.5 sacks. So 1.5 sacks more, and Myles Garrett is right there at the top of the NFL in terms of sacks. So he has been very efficient, very effective this year. And, it's just because the Browns have lost so many games due to the poor offense. And come on, guys, let's not try to throw shade on anybody who doesn't deserve it. The offense is the reason we have lost most of our games. I'll put the Saints loss a lot on the defense because they played very bad against Taysom Hill, of all people. But for the most part this year, it has been the offense. We have not scored over like 14 or what is it, like 16.5 points average before Jameis came in, and even when Jameis is in here, like we still are not scoring points on the offense. We can't run the ball. The passing offense was pathetic. I mean, worst in the league, this new high-flying passing offense. So what Myles Garrett has been doing this year has really, truly gone under the radar. So like I mentioned earlier, PFF, they calculate their pass rush win rate differently than ESPN. But ESPN still, they have Myles Garrett tied for fourth in the NFL with a win rate at 23%, which is not far off. PFF has him at 24.7%. So they're gauging about roughly the same amount of time he's winning his pass rushes, and he's one of the best to do it in the NFL. The leader per ESPN is Danielle Hunter at 27%. So Myles is just 3 percentage points lower than the leader. But here is the stat that I know you guys are going to love, and it makes all of these other numbers I'm talking about that much more impressive for Myles Garrett. And this is a stat that I want you guys to run with. I want you guys to take it to your friends, take it to your buddies who dog on Myles Garrett, take it to your Steeler friends who just, TJ Watt's the best thing since whatever. Let's talk about double teams. ESPN has Myles Garrett as being double-teamed on 29% of his rushes. Now, Josh, come on. What does 29% mean? Put it in some context for us. That is the highest that is the highest double-team rate in the NFL for any player. Myles Garrett gets double-teamed more than any player in the NFL. And when people say that, a lot of times they say, oh, no, he doesn't, blah, blah, blah. Yes, he does. Statistically, yes, he does. 29% of his pass rushes, Myles Garrett is getting double teamed. It is the most in the NFL. Nick Bosa is the next highest double team rate at 25%. And I'm sure I just mentioned him. You guys are all wondering, well, where's TJ Watt? Because I want to go talk to my Steeler friends about this. TJ Watt has a 19% win rate, and he sees a double team on just 14% of his pass rushes. So compare that to Myles, 23% win rate, while seeing a double team on 29% of the time. 2 times more than TJ Watt gets double teamed. So Myles Garrett gets double teamed twice as much as TJ Watt, and 29% more than any other player in the NFL. So what Myles is able to do is so impressive. We detail it all the time on this show. We post about it on social media. He gets choke held all the time. It's terrible. And no, I'm not saying Myles Garrett's the only one who gets choke held and stuff all the time, but for him to see a double team 29% of the time, more than any other player, for him to have one of the highest pass rush win rates in the entire league, despite being double teamed and despite being held all the time, and being the tied for the second most sacks in the league, Myles Garrett, have yourself a freaking season, my friend. And it really has been. This all goes to why I'm sure Myles had no problem the other night after the game saying that, I've got nothing but respect for the Steelers and for TJ Watt and those guys over there, but I'm edge number one. And he had just shown it on the field. Like, yes, you are edge number one. And I really don't think personally, and this is not me just being a Browns homer, we've been critical of Myles over the years for some of the times that he's not quite as effective as we want him to be. But again, we don't take enough time to look at these deeper metrics and see that he's impacting the game. Even if he's not racking up, sacks and tackles and the box score stats, the dude is still affecting the game in a critical way, in a very, very critical way. So again, that's probably why, he had no problem saying, yeah, I believe I'm edge one, and I believe that he's the best pure pass rusher in the NFL. Like I said, even, I just smashed my mic there. Even when he's not recording a sack or whatever, his presence, like I said, in the pass rush game it's always going to be accounted for, and it's accounted for 2 times more than TJ Watt. It's accounted with double teams more than any other player in the NFL. So, the next big milestone, or, if you'll allow me a dad pun, the next Myles Stone. Come on, guys, laugh a little, please. All right. For Myles Garrett, 1.5 more sacks this season. He will become the youngest player in NFL history to record 100 sacks in his career. So that could be, Monday night against the Broncos. We will be watching to see, can Myles Garrett hit that milestone against the Broncos in Denver, or do we have to wait for next Sunday in Pittsburgh for him to reach that career level of being the youngest player in NFL history to record 100 career sacks? Pretty cool for Myles Garrett. I kind of started this whole conversation. I don't know why my shoulder itches so bad. I started this conversation talking about, Myles Garrett's season going under the radar. Honestly, I feel like as Browns fans, this team it's been so up and down for so long. And for so long, it was nothing but down, just completely down. That when we have these sort of players, I mean, Joe Thomas is a great example. I feel like we spent, and maybe this is just me personally, but let me know in the comments if you guys agree or feel the same. I feel like I spent a lot of Joe Thomas's career, complaining about the team, the offense. Why can't we get a quarterback? Why can't we get a head coach? All these kinds of things. And I just kind of, not that I didn't appreciate it, but I kind of missed Joe Thomas's Hall of Fame career because he was out there being awesome and being elite every single week. And the team sucked. So it overshadowed what one player was doing, in his career. And now we've got, as Browns fans, we've got a Brown in the Hall of Fame, another Brown in the Hall of Fame with Joe Thomas. And Myles Garrett is having it is kind of an under the radar Hall of Fame career because he's having a Hall of Fame career for sure. And I don't think that and again, this is probably just more me, but let me know if you guys are the same. I feel like I'm not appreciating it enough of what I'm getting to see each and every game from Myles Garrett, whether it's, he's popping off and having 3 sacks or maybe he had no sacks. But either way, he's generating these pressures and these pass rush wins, and he's affecting the game. He's forcing quick throws. He's forcing, turnovers on the other end, bad throws into the secondary. He's forcing other guys to get sacks or, hits on the quarterback, forced fumbles, all those kinds of things. If you just look at this season alone, Myles Garrett, he's had 2 games with 9 pressures in those games, which it's crazy when you think about, because I look at the PFF stats, at least for the Browns game every single week, both teams and that kind of stuff. A lot of times you're looking at other teams and their total team pressures for the game, for their entire defense for the game, it's like 10, 11, 12 total pressures. So as a team. So when you think about Myles Garrett's generating 9 total pressures himself, man, that's very impressive. He's done that, like I said, 9 pressures twice. He just had 8 pressures against the Steelers. In those 2 games that he had those 9 pressures, he didn't have a sack in either of those games. It was the Giants in week 3 and then the Ravens in week 8. And if you remember those games, both the quarterbacks, Daniel Jones, Lamar Jackson, they were getting rid of the ball really fast. I mean, I remember the Giants game specifically. Like, we were bringing the heat on Daniel Jones, and he was just feasting on us because he was getting rid of the ball before we could do anything with our pass rush. But that did not take away the fact that we were really, really effective in the pass rush. So, again, pay attention. Monday night, it's something to watch. I mean, I don't know how. At this point in the year, I have no idea, guys. I don't know what Browns team is going to show up. I don't know what defense we're going to get on the road. Well, actually, I kind of do. The defense is usually not very great on the road. And we're going out in Denver. Don't have a really strong history of success in Denver. And they're a hot team right now. But something to watch. And again, we'll be on the national stage and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure the broadcast will be talking about Myles Garrett being the youngest player to ever get 100 career sacks. They will be watching that very closely. So he's only 1.5 away. If he can get 1.5, 2 sacks on Monday night, Myles Garrett will become the youngest player in NFL history to record 100 career sacks. And I really hope it happens Monday because that'll be something good to take away from that game. This episode is sponsored by Manly Bands. Dog Pack, it's hard to believe, but the holiday season is here. Ladies, treat your men, and men, how about treating yourselves? Manly Bands is having an early Black Friday sale, 30% off site-wide, plus you get an additional 25% off when you use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out. But don't wait, this sale will be ending soon. Guys, if you're getting married soon, you need a wedding band, or if you've been thinking about replacing or getting a second wedding band, Manly Bands is the best place to find bands made for men. Now, they've got your standard gold and white gold bands, but guys, they have some very unique materials and collections to choose from. Tungsten, tantalum, titanium, carbon fiber, even materials like meteorite, antler, and dinosaur bone. Yes, the bands are actually made from dinosaur fossils. They have rings made from Jack Daniel's whiskey barrels. They have a Fender guitar collection, a DC Comics collection, Lord of the Rings. There is so much to see. You just have to go to manlybands.com and use promo code DOGS for 25% off your order. Manly Bands will send you a free ring size guide if you're unsure of which size you need, and every Manly Band comes shipped with a free silicone band so you can swap it out whenever you're working or playing hard. But don't wait, the early Black Friday sale won't last long. Get 30% off site-wide right now, plus an additional 25% off with code DOGS, DAWGS at manlybands.com. Couple quick things here before I wrap this up. Just want to talk about real quick Juan Thornhill. I wanted to mention this since, our podcast, rightfully so, we went and gave him a ton of crap on social media and on the podcast for his lack of effort, the jogging thing down in New Orleans against the Saints. Juan Thornhill came back Thursday night against the Steelers. He had 6 tackles, 2 stops, and allowed just 1 catch for 6 yards on Thursday night. He took ownership of his poor play in New Orleans, said he got lazy on that play that MVS scored the long touchdown. Said that's not him. People pointed it out and that it can't happen again. So actually, I do have the soundbite, the clip here of him talking about that.
I mean, that play is not, it's not me. I'm just going to be completely honest. Like, I played with MVS out in Kansas City. Guy caught the ball, and I'm just like, this guy runs a 4.340. I'm not catching him. Got a little lazy, and I own up to it. But that's just not me, and that'll never happen again. That's why when he broke out today, I was determined I was going to catch him and I was going to run a dude down. Because I've done it multiple times, but just that one time, people pointed it out, and I just can't have that. Because there's past plays when, Derrick Henry broke and I run him down. You see it all the time. But I guess people just chose to pick out that one play. But, it's part of the game.
So that was great to hear him take ownership of it, have some accountability for that poor effort in New Orleans. And after the game on Thursday, he was asked about it yet again. He said that he heard the criticism online from the fans and the media, and he knew he couldn't let it happen again. And he's a competitor, and he just doesn't want that to be what people think of him. So, sometimes the criticism, how do you take criticism, right? Especially as a professional athlete, social media is brutal right now. Just the way it's evolved and everything can be very brutal, and you can let it get you down or you can let it motivate you. And I got to commend Juan Thornhill. He let it motivate him. Clearly came out, had a great game against the Steelers, and that's the biggest thing for me. You can come out after a game and say, "Yeah, I heard the criticism. That was a poor effort on my part. That's not me. I'm going to fix that." Those are great words. Excellent words. Love to hear it. Words are just words. You got to show me. Show me with actions that you really do want to be better. You want to show better for your fan base, for your team. He came out Thursday night and did just that. So I got to give him credit for that. Kudos to Juan Thornhill. And just hopefully this kicks off a nice stretch of games for you. And I'd love to see him get an interception, make some big plays down the stretch here just to show that, because we kind of have called him another safety bust signing for the Browns after JJ3. And again, credit to Juan Thornhill for the Thursday night game, but one good game does not a career make. So string them together, stack them up, and show us that you're here to do what you came here to do. So the last thing then, before I wrap this up, I think heading into Thanksgiving weekend, we should all be thankful that as Browns fans, we get a second year in a row where we get to watch a backup quarterback come in and inject some life and energy into the offense. Jameis Winston is a breath of fresh air and life to this team, to this offense, to this fan base, to the city, to everything. And he said before the Steelers game that you're not a Brown. He's like, I've learned this since I've been here. You're not a true Brown until you've beaten the Steelers. That dude came out and beat the freaking Steelers on Thursday night. He is now a true Brown. It was the first game he's ever played in snow. It's the first game he's ever played, or the coldest game he's ever played in. And he played very well. He had a great game. We talked about that on Friday when we did our recap show. So just real quick, looking back, Deshaun Watson obviously much better last year in 2023 before his injury than he was this year before his injury this season. There's no argument about that. He played much better in 23 than he did in 24. But even in 23, Joe Flacco still came in, ignited the Browns passing attack. Yes, he turned the ball over a ton, but he threw for a ton of yards, ton of touchdowns, and he showed what this offense could be with competent quarterback play, like higher level competency at that position. And now Jameis Winston comes in this season and he's doing the same exact thing, only I'd argue better because he is not committing the turnovers that Joe Flacco was committing. Yes, I know he had a 3 interception game. That was a really bad game. The Chargers are a legit defense. The interception the other night against the Steelers, it looked like a miscommunication on the route, all that kind of stuff. That was a tough game to throw the ball in, honestly. And the fact that he only had that 1 interception was, because I was expecting more, honestly. When the weather got bad, I thought, ooh, we're going to see some turnovers coming. Not just from Jameis, but from both sides. So we'll see how the season finishes, with Jameis at the quarterback position for the Browns. But I think that he has a better ability of taking care of the ball than Flacco did. But again, we're seeing a backup quarterback just do this all over again. Before he got hurt, Deshaun Watson was averaging 168 yards per game. Not good at all. Jameis Winston comes in through 4 games, and he's averaging 295 yards per game, damn near 300 yards per game. Deshaun wasn't even close to averaging 200, and Jameis is just shy of 300 yards per game. The difference between these two quarterbacks is insane. I can't even state how much better everybody looks in the entire offense with Jameis Winston at quarterback. And I got into this conversation here at the end, just because I saw the report from Albert Breer that said the Browns plan to keep head coach Kevin Stefanski, general manager Andrew Berry, and quarterback Deshaun Watson for 2025. Now, that report by itself, not that big of a deal, and I'll explain why. But then Breer went on to say the Browns will look to create competition for Watson in the quarterback room in 2025. That's the part of the whole report and everything that I saw on social media that got me like, I don't know if I really like what I'm reading here. So the first part, the Browns plan to keep Deshaun Watson for 2025. I don't think we need to freak out about that at all, because we've talked about it on this show before. Deshaun Watson has to be on the roster in 2025. The Browns cannot cut him. I know there's a lot of people on social media, just, you guys, I see the comments and stuff, and I understand the sentiment. I understand, the emotion and the feeling behind it. They're like, well, just cut him and eat the money, whatever it takes. Just get him off the team. Hold on a second, guys. You can't just cut the guy and eat the money. As great as that might sound to do, he would be a $172 million dead cap or $118 million dead cap post June 1st if the Browns were to cut him going into 2025. So just for reference, say that were this year, because we don't know what the cap is going to increase to next year, but say that was this year. The NFL cap this season is $255 million. So if Deshaun Watson had $172 million dead cap this year, that would have been 67% of the total team's cap for this season. That means the Browns would have 33% of the cap space with which to field a 53-man roster. That's just impossible. You can't do that. That's you wouldn't have a team. You wouldn't. So Watson, he's 100% on the roster next year, again, unless they find some willing trade partner to take some draft capital from us to take him on their books, which I would be shocked if that happened. I'd probably be kind of mad if that happened, because I'm not ready to put any more draft capital into this guy. They've got the cap situation figured out for him to be on the team anyway, so they might as well just roll with it. And if we can get, Jameis Winston in here next year and even in 2026, depending on how things go, get a young guy in the draft. This draft is not looking great for quarterback prospects, but maybe the following year, whatever we got to do. Deshaun Watson can't play next year. Like, that's just, how do you roll him out there as the Browns? How do you roll him back out there as your starter after how everything went this year? I just don't think you can roll him out there and tell your fan base, hey, this guy's going to be the starting quarterback for your team. That's just not going to go well. But the part about creating competition, now that's what got me with this whole report. Because like I said, them saying they plan to have him on the team in 25. I'm like, well, no crap. They have to. Like financially, they have no choice. They have to have him on the roster. But creating competition, what are you creating competition for? That's probably one of the dumbest ways I could think to put this. The quarterback competition has already been done. Jameis Winston has already proved this year, he's proving it right now, that Deshaun Watson was not the best quarterback on the roster. If the Browns had Jameis Winston all season, I guarantee we are at least in the playoff hunt right now. We might be, maybe the season wouldn't be going the way we were hoping record-wise, but I think we'd probably be like 6-5 at worst with Jameis Winston at quarterback, which would put us right firmly in wild card conversations with some important games coming up, down the stretch here to end the season. With Deshaun, we just never had a chance. We did not have a shot. So if the Browns don't bring back Jameis in 2025, or if they don't bring him back and they don't bring a legit starting veteran quarterback, then they're forcing Deshaun Watson down our throat again for another season and gear up for another rough one in 2025. So we'll see what the team does after the season in terms of do they extend or re-sign Jameis Winston? Do they trade for, like Jack Duffin from OBR keeps talking about, like a Kirk Cousins? Do we sign like a Justin Fields? Any of those guys is going to be a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson, and there doesn't need to be a competition. Honestly, if you come out there in March and say, hey, we're bringing in this name and that name, and Deshaun Watson and the three of them are going to compete over the summer for the quarterback position, fans are going to be pissed. Tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. Like, if the Browns said that we're going to let Deshaun Watson continue to compete for the starting quarterback spot for next season, how will you feel? Tell me in the comments. We want to hear from you guys, because I believe that the fan base will not receive that very well. And I'd like to hear from you guys if you agree or if you think that's fair. So, Jameis Winston just threw for 219 yards in a blizzard against the Steelers. Deshaun Watson couldn't throw for 200 yards against the Raiders in a freaking dome. So if you ask me, there's no competition. And if you followed this show for any length of time over the last couple of years, you know that nobody's been a bigger Deshaun Watson defender than this podcast, and specifically me. I have been in his corner more than anybody since he's been here, and I'm out. I'm out of the corner. I'm on to what's next, because we cannot continue to wallow in what is dragging us down. We got to get out of it. And then when I say get out of it, we got to get out of the mindset of forcing him to be the starter. That's what I'm talking about. So hopefully the Browns see reason and figure that out, because I can't do this again, guys. I don't know about you. What we saw for the first 7-8 weeks of the season this year, I can't do it again, guys. I cannot do that again. So again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanksgiving is tomorrow. Again, I'm thankful for you guys. We love all you guys. You're the best audience. I say it all the time. You make the show possible. We wouldn't do the podcast if you guys didn't watch, follow, interact, engage, share, and just support us. And we appreciate it more than you realize. I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. Have a great weekend. Like I said, we'll be back either Friday night or Saturday morning with the Broncos preview for Monday Night Football. We'll be talking about all of that stuff. That'll be on our Discord. So if you want to, we always do those shows on Discord. So if you want to be part of that, if you want to get up on the stage, the stage in Discord, so it's basically like a live call-in show that we do with our Dog Pack members. If you want to talk to us, get your thoughts, voice, questions on the show, on an actual episode, jointhedogs.com, get synced up to the private Discord, and then you get to join us for those shows. It's a ton of fun. And we're excited to get to the next one here, talking about the Denver Broncos. Coming up on Monday Night Football, another spotlight game for the Browns. We already had our first spotlight game, and we came out on top. So maybe, just maybe, we can do it again. We will see. But again, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And we will talk to you soon. Have a great weekend with college football, friends, family, all that good stuff. So till we talk to you guys on the Broncos preview, let's go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dogs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. Browns fans, we talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after? Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter, and most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients, plus it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DAWGS, DAWGS, for 10% off your order. And that code can be used over and over. So you get 10% off every order you make using code DAWGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. Dangercoffee.com, code DAWGS.